Sunday night, I'd watch the practice with none of my friends. I'd turn the dial to ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your hosts, Keith Varney.
Out of practice.
And this guy with the thumbs, Mike Indeglio.
Way back in high school, most every night, my mom watched QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo, what could I do? Wait 15 years, get fat, then stream it on Hulu. Out of practice.
Save us, Mikey One. You're our only hope.
It is better with the headphones.
Out of practice.
You know, 2 years in, I still rock out to the theme song. It gets me hype. Gets me hype.
Out of practice.
And welcome to the Out of Practice Podcast, a weekly podcast in which I'm Keith, discuss David E. Kelley's award-winning series with my old buddy, Mike. That's Mike. How's it going?
It's
Leia?
going good. Yeah, I got new headphones, Keith. They are enormous, but they're over ears as opposed to the on ears. So I guess it's a more open back sound. I don't know. I haven't noticed the difference yet, but I'm still breaking them in, Keith. But what I wanted to say is, you said old friend, and
Yes.
Ne'er has that felt more real. We're coming on. Let's see. I guess it's the summer now. We met in the fall, right? Wasn't it the fall we met?
It was late fall, like maybe December.
Okay, so 2003 that was. Am I wrong with
2000. 2003. Yeah.
that? So we're coming up on, what, 18 years of knowing one another?
Yeah. As upsetting as that might be.
That is very upsetting. Yeah, I've been feeling really old. So for the past 2 weeks, Jenna and I have both actually really narrowed in. I've been lifting 3 days a week, running 3 days a
Really?
week, 1 day off.
Damn.
It's a rule of thumb that tends to be anecdotally true for me, that it takes about 2 weeks to really lock in a new routine, like a set of habits. So
Yeah.
even though it's 7,000 degrees in the bowels of hell today,
Oh my God.
I got out there and got my 3 miles of straight hills up and down. So today was, so if
Wow.
I die midway through, Locale Mike, now you know.
Wow, that is very impressive. And if I die midway through because my heart explodes, it's because I didn't do any of those things.
Keith, didn't CFO Jillian enjoy a birthday this weekend?
She sure did. Yesterday was her birthday. We had
Congratulations.
we had a really fun time. We went out to a nature preserve. We ran around with that. We went antiquing a little bit, and then we got really good Italian food out on our back patio. So it was
really, you're the one who received the gift. To have a wife at, what, you're 40 and she's 27, so I feel like that's pretty awesome for you.
Which is a little awkward since we've been together for 10 years. But
Well, you know what? We should leave that. We should leave that for the authorities.
Great. Well, I have so many exciting things to talk about, which will probably culminate in your call from the authorities, or perhaps my dad. So this prior weekend, because we recorded early last week, so we've actually had 2 weekends that have gone by. I went up to Vermont to visit my folks for the first time since well before the pandemic. So it had been a year and a half, almost 2 years since I'd seen my folks, and certainly since I'd been up to Vermont to hang out with them, which was really fun. And since now everyone in my family is a character on the show now. I went up, and because we were challenged on air by my mother,
Yes.
to hike the hill with her, to hike the mountain on our property, and I did. And so on the way back, I decided, why not do a stop motion all the way the trek home? So here is a stop motion video. So it's really quick.
No, it's really not. It's not stop motion in any way, shape, or form. Just so you know.
Not stop motion.
time lapse,
time lapse. That's what I meant.
I wish We could. Wish and pray it was time lapse or stop motion, like a little Gumby figures, just stop motion style. That would be great. But
like a little tubby clay guy, like sweating up a hill.
Alas, it is not. So rare do we get to use the show and tell tile that you created, Keith. I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Well, here we are. Folks, you can now see what it looks like going down the mountain at my parents' place.
Should we give any context to this or no? This is the hike your mom has been speaking about.
This is the downhill side of the hike that my mother does twice a day. So yeah, that's all the way down from the top of the hill. And it's Vermont woods. It's real live woods, and we're walking on the logging road because we would heat the house. So we've been foresting since I was a little child. I was showing my mom there where my fort was as a kid, and how I would try to kill ourselves leaping off trees the whole time. And there it is out of the woods.
So round trip up and back. How long is that?
Up and back round trip, it's probably half hour, 20 minutes, something like that.
Okay, so you're talking, what, a mile and a half?
Yeah, actually, she told me it's exactly 2 miles up and down, or 1 mile up and down. I forget what it is. Mom, write it incorrect because
it's more than a mile. That's definitely more than a mile round trip.
Oh yeah, I think it's probably 2 miles. Whatever it is, it's a hike. And this tubby guy just got schooled by his own mother going up and down that hill, which is no surprise whatsoever. Now, speaking of my mother, as we have been telling...
we often are wont to do.
As we often talk, my mother has been... Mike has been attempting to seduce my mother for about 2 months now, and thus far has been.
Some would say I've been successful. Not attempting. I have.
I believe you got shut down with a hard no, sir. A very clear hard no.
However, but we agreed to disagree and be friends, which I think is a win.
Yes, all successful seductions end with agreeing to disagree.
Everyone knows a good seduction ends with a solid friendship. A firm handshake.
That is an amazing quote. Mike and Daglio, copyright 2021.
Yeah.
So if you listened last week, but you decided to, you know what, I don't need to hear those idiots talk after the episode. We don't need to hear the oopsies. Well, you missed out.
Oh man, I forgot. Already forgot
some true and profound glory from my co-host who decided to do the most valuable lawyer bumper live on air. Mm-hmm. And as you pointed out, what really was impressive about it was you were really trying.
I was going.
It was like your genuine effort.
Now, Keith, I do want to say this is not a good defense, but it is a defense. As a professional singer, I should say I have. Actually, can I say this? I think I can. So I've been a part of a some would say knockoff, some would say tribute to the Jersey Boys, the Four Seasons. Well, since that's mostly cruise gigs, that has been kind of shut down for a while. So I just was like Googling around places near me, maybe acts near me that might need a help. Stumbled upon this group of people who actually needed I don't want to say sub, they needed an alternate. So I've been singing with them, and this stuff is really, really hard, and I've had a year plus off.
So the Frankie stuff, it's extraordinarily difficult.
It's really difficult. And so I've been learning these guys' show, and it's like 24 songs of this stuff. So my voice has been tired. So even making the attempt to Most Valuable Lawyer was an exercise in stupidity and futility.
Not the least of which you hadn't warmed up, and we've been shouting for 2 hours.
But yes, it was bad, and it was captured for all the internet to hear.
That said, it wasn't bad. In fact, I would say it was majestic. And
okay.
And just folks, just so you don't feel left out, I don't want you to have to You should definitely go back and listen to it from last week. But I don't want you to have to stop the episode, go and search and find and scroll. So here, just so you don't feel left out. This is our new Most Valuable Lawyer bumper. Please enjoy.
I'm so glad that you did that. I'm so happy that you did that.
Of course I did.
But Keith, what about the people who, during our kibitzing here at the top of the show, are like getting a snack and making an omelet to get ready for the actual show proper, and they missed that entirely. What about them?
Oh, okay. So I hope you have your omelet. It's ready. Sit down. Really, just take a deep breath. Listen hard. Headphones. I think headphones are the best way to listen to this because it's very important. Here it is.
Thank God you give us some reverb. Hold on a second. Jen! Come here! Sorry, folks.
Really... Well,
yeah, come here. You don't have to be seen on camera, but just come in the room for a second.
Yeah, you should really, really enjoy this. Put her on mic. She doesn't have to be on camera. She does have to be on mic.
Jen!
That's
okay. Come here. It's worth being nude. She's out of the shower. She will not be on camera. It's a family show. Just come here and listen to this. Ready? Can you hear now? Go ahead.
All right. Jen, please enjoy. Yeah. So here's here's where it all comes full circle.
Okay.
Good radio show is all about storytelling and mixing pieces together. So I mentioned before your successful seduction of my mother, which led to a agreeing to disagree and a firm handshake. Well, it turns out that my mother has a very specific funny bone. and she's not always the biggest laugher, but when you get her going, when you hit the right nerve, you can end that woman. You can destroy her.
Did I kill your mom?
I have not seen her laugh that hard in so long. And here's the thing. She went on and on and on, couldn't talk for a while. And the second time I played it, it got just the same reaction. And the third time we played it, got just the same reaction. You have obliterated my mom, and maybe just have found a little crack in her heart.
Okay.
Because I have a little clip here.
Uh-huh.
And this is from, we were at dinner. I did not even play the clip for her. This is her remembering the clip. Please enjoy.
That was so funny, but I still love you.
She still loves you. There's hope.
Oh man. Look, all it took was making a caricature of her and completely embarrassing myself for all to hear, apparently. Well, I'm sure we'll hear it again in the oopsies from now.
We sure will.
Henceforward.
For the next 2.5 seasons. And then possibly for, a show that doesn't have lawyers in it. We're still going to have that category just so we can play the bumper. Oh.
Boy, I'm sweating now. I got nervous.
Yeah.
You can literally hear. I don't know how I have a voice after that. How I survived it.
It was a piece of comedy gold that will be part of, if we have a, they do like the box set on VHS. They do the infomercial, like the best of Out of Practice podcast.
Is this that clip?
this is the clip that's going to begin the infomercial every single time. It was true genius. All right. Well, speaking of true genius
we
ways
have a lot to get through.
We have a lot today. It's going to be a big episode. Just settle in, eat that omelet. If you need to pick me up, I can email you that bumper. It's going to be fine.
Yep.
But you know who did not enjoy it as much because he's a cat? It's our good friends on the segment we call...
We have tried for years to make this podcast a success.
We failed.
It's time to give the world what it wants. Meow, meow. Hot cat content. Meow, meow. Hot cat content. Meow, meow. Hot cat content.
Banger.
Well, our new segment comes with a new feature, and that is the cat photo of the week, the Out of Practice podcast official cat photo of the week. And if you're not watching on YouTube, what are you doing? You're going to miss the cat photo of the week. Let's take a look at this week's entry.
Yes, well, you know, Dee is an acquired taste. He doesn't often like to snuggle and cuddle. He's more of a bite and play type of cat. For some reason, because we're on the second floor of our apartment complex, in the morning he likes to sit on my lap while I drink my coffee every morning and look out. And he's like turns into this docile, really cute cat. And so Jen captured it here in all its glory. Apparently, the Superman shirt is an Easter egg. You've called it.
It's a giant Easter egg for this week. You didn't even know.
I didn't.
It wasn't even on purpose.
That said, I only have one tank top. But this is Dee being good. Little does he know that. As we record this is his last week as the baby cat. He will be joined shortly. He will be the middle child, and we'll see how he handles that mojo. How's Charlie Jr.?
Well, Charlie Jr. is doing just fine. One of the things that we did this week was Jillian and I, we got a new dining room set. She's always wanted sort of like an old school, like nice dining room table with a china cabinet thingamabob, whatever.
China cabinet thingamabob. Classic.
Thingamabob, whatever. Like it's been her dream for forever. And so we finally had the space to do it. So we bought a used one. Somebody was moving out of their house, and so they just said, like, basically take it. And we had to rent a van, and we drove out 30 miles, and I can't believe that the two of us idiots decided to and succeeded at doing it entirely ourselves, because that was
so it's big.
Ungodly amount of work. It was so heavy and so big.
Would you put it on top of your car? Oh, in the van.
In the van, yeah. Which was crazy, and it was an exhausting adventure, but we did it. And I was like, I'm really proud of us. Like, you know, just a couple of dummies of a certain age deciding to, like, we can do this, whatever. And we did. So we set it all up, and it looks beautiful, and we filled the stuff, and we got the table. And little did we know, her dream comes true, and now the cat owns it. And Charlie spends about 90% of his time directly atop our brand new dining room table, which he enjoys because he's closer to petting range. So anytime you go in the kitchen, he's just like, I'm here. So
my sister got these two little kittens we've been watching while they're on vacation this week, and so cute. And it's funny because she's like, we're trying to keep them off the table. And I laugh because people think they can tell their cats what to do. It's funny.
I know, it's adorable. Yeah, we have a discussion like, is that for the cat? Is that not for the cat? It's all for the cat. The cat owns everything.
The cat decides.
We bought the cat a dining set. That's what happened. So, but he's happy. He loves it. So
Yeah,
I'm glad.
That's all that matters.
I'm glad everybody's happy. Everyone's dream came true, and he has like fancy upholstered chairs to, you know, put his poopy butt on. All right. Well, we have so much to talk about. Let us move forward and hear from one of our good friends who sent in something new and special this week. Buckle up. Get that omelet.
Filings and subpoenas. Filings and subpoenas. Filings and subpoenas. Filings and subpoenas.
So we had our usual comments and funny stuff on YouTube, but because this week we have yet another opus from our good friend and moderator, Phoenix Cage, about last week's episode, Judge Not. I'm excited to hear it. I have not heard it. You have not heard it. So
it is pretty long though. So you didn't like clip and cut like you sometimes do. We're getting the full
I did
mojo?
not.
Okay.
Because I forgot that it was here until about 10 seconds before we started recording. So we're doing it live. We're doing it live. So Phoenix, I hope you don't say anything horrible because there's no going back. We don't edit.
Yeah, I hope you don't talk some shit. All right, let's see.
All right, guys.
You deserve it.
Buckle up. Here we go. Phoenix Cage on season 6, episode 13. Judge Not.
Hello, gentlemen. It's Phoenix Cage again.
Yeah, we know.
It's been a while since I've called in, so you'll have to indulge me as I speechify like Judge Fleming. Just hang in there. I promise no one gets shot at the end of this one.
Coming in
After
hot.
millions of years of depending on each other for every aspect of survival, we suddenly found ourselves living quite comfortably in our houses and apartments, sharing them with at most one other adult. The fact that we don't need other people for physical safety has given us the false sense that we also don't need others for emotional support. As a result, we've gotten into the habit of ignoring our emotional needs until they're convenient to address, like
Keith.
when we're in a romantic relationship. But once we have that support, we realize we needed it more than we thought and start feeling attached and dependent upon our partner. This leads to insecurity, which creates jealousy. This pattern has become so common that it's accepted as a cultural norm.
I think Phoenix, my therapy is actually on Tuesdays. But I feel like you basically, I've heard that exact same speech from my therapist.
Nailed it.
We view jealousy and insecurity as a natural part of romantic relationships, and to our detriment, we distrust the close friendships that would have prevented the cycle from starting. Why I'm talking about this now is because it's relevant to how the last episode ended. Helen just witnessed a suicide, and Bobby is expecting to be ostracized from his peers for playing a part in the events that led up to it. Unfortunately, Bobby seems to have an issue leaning on Lindsay. If I were to speculate from personal experience, I'd say that after everything he's gone through recently, he may have realized that it's become too much to ask one person to help him deal with. People with PTSD often avoid opening up because they fear that once they do, it will be as overwhelming to others as it is to them.
And he wants to
100%.
protect her.
In this case, he turned to the person who just went through the experience with him, someone who's also been his friend and coworker for years. That was unquestionably
benefits.
the healthy thing for him to do. But watching that scene with you guys, it didn't seem like you agreed. Mike joked about Lindsay walking in, and Keith remarked that he was getting grayish vibes from it, and later said that something is going on between Helen and Bobby. That sounded like something I hear a lot. A judgment against people getting emotional support from anyone other than their spouse. The argument is usually that something could happen between them, so they shouldn't risk getting that close. To that, I would point out that 1, we don't condemn people for something they might do. 2, he's already tried a relationship with Helen and he chose Lindsay. 3, they've been developing a friendship for several years, and any two adults can have as close of a friendship as they want, because if they're not having sex, then no one has the right to tell them they can't be friends. Jealousy doesn't give anyone a license to control their partner. Now, I'm not saying either of you is expressing judgment that is personally motivated by jealousy or insecurity. It could be that both of you have plenty of emotionally supportive connections. In which case, I would have to cancel my TED Talk on Two Lonely Podcasters. For the listener at home, that was an old callback. The point I'm making is that when we see people developing intimacy through emotional support with anyone other than their spouse, the knee-jerk reaction is to...
Hold on. Mike's calling a timeout.
I know, he's on closing time. But I feel like I want to just point out 2 things real quick before we hear his closing. 1, Phoenix, you should seriously consider an ASMR channel because you got the dulcet tones for it. Absolutely.
True. It's definitely true.
2, just remind me, Keith, when we get to commenting on this, that it's not You know what? I forget it. Continue rolling. I just wanted to talk about him talking ASMR.
Okay, good. Well, there's only 15 seconds left. We got this.
Condemn it as emotional infidelity, but drawing attention to the issues that creates is an important step to normalizing close and supportive friendships. In other words, stop being knee jerks.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think all very good and valid points. And I, and in real life, I couldn't agree more that there is definitely there's a distinction between intimate feelings and romantic feelings. And so, if you want to talk about like emotional affair or whatever, intimate feelings are completely different than romantic feelings. You're not having an emotional affair until you're having romantic feelings. I have intimate feelings with all sorts of people in my life. And I have intimate, close relationships with people of all genders. So I'm with you 100%. What I will say about this, and then it's your turn, Mike, is that we were not reacting to the real life practical elements of that scene. We were reacting to 1990s, early 2000 television writing tropes, television storytelling, because the writing of it is not nearly as sophisticated, I think, as what you are describing in that type of relationship. In TV trope world, we are to learn from this scene that something is up between Lindsay and Bobby because of this. In real life, I think I'm 100% with you. That's entirely appropriate. But because it is not, that scene is not there alone. Because that episode is bookended by that weird, handsy, flirty moment from the beginning of the scene. Go, Mike.
Right, yes. So to fill in the context of what Phoenix very astutely told us there is that, yes, not only do I think Lindsay and Bobby are stronger because of their individual friendships with Helen, but they have individual friendships with Helen. Lindsay was
both of them, yeah.
Yeah, Lindsay was roommates with Helen. When Bobby and Lindsay were engaged and working through their marriage, Helen was a big help during that period of time. She was an emotional support for both of them.
And she was also supportive of the relationship itself.
Now, what I think is, here's some context that, see, we aren't looking at it through the lens, like Keith said, as just it's. I have no suspicion of Bobby's continued feelings for Helen outside of, as Keith mentioned, at the beginning of that episode, there's this weird beat where Helen falls on Bobby and is flirty, even though she's drunk. Regardless, it's not about that. It's about Lindsay's reaction. Lindsay gives that look. We get exactly an upshot focus on it, and it's clear she's uncomfortable. Now, we couple that with the knowledge that Bobby's been distant recently. He hasn't been open and honest with her. We know the context, more so than Lindsay, of Bobby's last flirty flirt with the Black Widow lady.
Right, so Bobby had an actual emotional affair with her because he actually fell romantically in love with her.
So as viewers, we are now a little bit leery of Bobby's feelings, confused feelings of Lindsay. Like, we had that last beat. We've talked about this last week as well, Keith, where he says to her, I just felt like I had to take care of her. But I don't know if that's him realizing that truth in the moment, or it's him BSing out of an uncomfortable situation with his wife. Yeah. Unknown.
Well, we have been taught throughout this season not to trust Bobby, to not trust his intentions and his feelings, and Helen in some ways otherwise. So I think your point about that scene and your point about PTSD is 1,000% right. Mm-hmm. And these people supporting each other in a vacuum, you're absolutely right. That was healthy and right, and that was a healthy and good interaction between the two of them. But it's just not happening within a vacuum, and it's not happening in the real world. It's in TV trope time. So we're certainly being led to believe something is rotten in Denmark.
I also, to Phoenix's point, though, what I would like to see moving forward is a couple of things. One, I'd like to see Bobby maybe not ask for, but receive some of that emotional support outside of the women in his life, right? I'd like to see Jimmy or Eugene, who's supposed to be one of his good buddies, be there for him in a way that is emotionally supportive. And it's not just Rebecca being a voice of advice and or Helen because there's a shared trauma there. And what I want to see as we close out maybe this Bobby arc is some agency for Lindsay. I just feel like Lindsay is like, oh, what's wrong with Bobby? Or Bobby, I feel this way, and blah, 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 blah. And she's being told how to feel or that what she's feeling is silly and not getting a lot of validation. So I'd like to see Lindsay be written with a little bit more emotional agency. Yeah. Because, she's been through some shit too. And I think we deserve to see their relationship. Look, I'm all for seeing complicated relationships, but I'd like to see it a little bit more grounded in.
And you also said something. The first thing you said was, "I'd like to see Bobby ask for more support," and then you took it back. I'm with you on the first one. Like Bobby needs to take some responsibility for his own emotional health, and that doesn't mean he can just like magically not. I'm not saying he suck it up and get better. I'm saying he go and seek the help that he needs. He needs counseling. He needs support. Mm-hmm. He's gone through all of these things, and his lack of taking that seriously and getting himself the support he needs professionally, with friends, whatever it is, has had repercussions for all the people around him. And so, yeah, I think he deserves more support, but he needs to make sure he gets it too.
Keith, let's practice what we preach. Keith and I need emotional support. And not only do we need emotional support, we need your support for the show. It doesn't have to be fiscal. It can just be by leaving a rating or review. Join the jury. Be a part. Phoenix Cage, listen, if you got something to say, we'll give you all the airtime you want. It doesn't just have to be Phoenix. If you've got a deep, lovely voice like he does, that helps. But if not, if you just have a salient point to offer, I'll tell you what, even one that isn't salient, one that's just straight up ridiculous.
Just make noise.
To leave it, make some noise on the internet, and let us know if it's not Apple Podcasts, if another podcast service of choice. Just let us know, and we shall shout it out on the air.
Yes, indeed, we did. All right, well, let us continue the pivot. Mike just did a beautiful pivot. Let us continue forward with the show, because we have to get to the episode. We have to talk about all sorts of things. We have to hop back into the time machine. And this week, we are going back to February 24th, the year 2002, which brings up the eternal question, hey, what was going on
this day in the basement?
I don't have a specific here, Keith, but I'll draw a parallel to what we were just talking about. I've mentioned a few times that during this period of college or living in New York, I guess, I was bookended by two dear friends, my good friend Jason and my dear friend Tina, who are both dear friends to this day, and I had a girlfriend at the time. But what was really interesting is that me and my friend Tina were sort of having, I don't want to call it an emotional affair, but we were developing a friendship with a lot of potential other feelings and all kinds of hormones clouding those things. Now, I'll give you a spoiler alert for later. We actually do eventually explore a different type of relationship later in the game. And much like Helen and Bobby, decide that it is not for us. We're not compatible in that way. And we're able to sustain a really, really great friendship to this very day. My wife is good friends with her. Everybody knows what the score is, and it's fine. So yes, I do want to point
important.
out.
That's important and healthy. I've gone through that as well, and I think it's valuable.
And I think that when you're younger, it's actually a really good point, because when you're younger, sometimes that emotional intimacy that you develop with friends can be confused. It can be confused with other things, and it is, I think, a very, and I don't think I comprehended it at the time. I came to learn that, it seems like, oh, it's just a failed relationship. We tried it out and we're not compatible. But no, it's more that sometimes you decide that the relationship serves both parties better as a friendship without a sexual sort of
it was a successful relationship. It just wasn't a romantic relationship.
Yes. We tried, and when we tried it that way, it just wasn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't what it was.
sometimes it's just not that, and that's okay.
But Keith, you do have a more specific recollection of this period of time.
I do, because this week was the performances of Stephen Sondheim's Passion at the Eastman Opera Studio.
You teased last week.
Which I teased, right? And so we did the performances, and I have a picture of me playing Colonel Ricci in with, now I don't know what's going on with those pants. That's bad. But I had a goatee that they filled in, so half of that beard is fake and half of that beard is real. So
well, hold on.
Good.
Pardon us while we give it just a little. Let's get a little zoomsy on that.
A little zoomsy on it. Yeah. So I mean, it was a really good show. I felt terrible about it because both performances, there was a cue that got screwed up right before like my big song, and it was like everything happened. It was awkward. And it was sort of half my fault and half the fault of somebody else. I was like, yeah, because you're young, right? I was waiting for a cue, like a line, and there's a vamp, and then there's a line, and then I start this, oh, Jesus. And then I start the song. And every time, in both performances, the guy blew the line, and I just waited. And then somebody else had to bail me out. I don't know. It was sort of my fault. But, and I'll say really quickly, what I really remember, enough already, Jesus. Might keep zooming in on my face. The thing I remember most about this was on the nights I wasn't performing, there were dual casts. I was turning pages for the music director who was playing the piano. His name was Benton Hess. And I first found that stressful to sort of have to turn pages because he's a pretty famous, opera director, coach, pianist, so on and so forth. But I ended up finding that to be this profoundly great experience because I'm just turning pages, right? But in order to turn pages in a show like this, I'm reading the music with Benton. We basically have to breathe. Pacing, right? We have to breathe and read together. I'm listening to this unbelievably great Sondheim score. I'm reading this great Sondheim score. I'm watching an incredible musician play this score and feel like we're collaborating in some weird way. I'm basically just watching him super intently. But it ended up being this unbelievably cool experience that I felt more like a musician doing that than I did singing in the show. And so I don't know. I felt very privileged to be given that opportunity, and I actually emailed him about it a couple of weeks ago, and he was happy to hear about it. So that's what I was doing, way up on the 12th floor Little Opera Studio, doing a pretty good production of Sondheim's Passion. All right. Let us move forward. Let's zoom out and talk about.
It's time for the Out of Practice Podcast's This Day in the World. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Okay, once again, we are talking about February 24th, the year 2002, Sunday night, as always, lately on The Practice. The top song was Always on Time with Ja Rule featuring Ashanti for the second week. The local paper talked about Vermont Olympians look forward. It was, of course, the Winter Olympics we talked a little bit about last week. And in the Winter Olympics, you're going to find some Vermonters because Vermont's all about the winter. So lots of skiers and such. So that's happening. The top movie was Queen of the Damned. You remember that one? It was
like sort of a campy horror film?
No, it was sort of a sequel to Interview with the Vampire. It's based on the Lestat series. It's the Anne Rice books.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's not good. It's not good at all. But Stuart Townsend was good in it.
Are you talking about the cover we're listening to or the movie?
All of the above. And this podcast. Hey,
yeah, fair,
we're so consistent. Yeah, it was an interesting movie because I read several of those books. I think Anne Rice is a great writer.
Yeah, I loved. I don't remember. In fact, I think I read the one after Lestat too, which was like
The Mummy. No, it's the.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Well,
somebody
it was
will write here and
memorable.
tell us. Yeah, I mean they're good stuff. Yeah, so that's what happened. Now let's get to the segment everybody's really here for.
Yeah, that's true.
It's time for sports.
On this day, the 2002 Winter Olympics closing ceremony took place in Salt Lake City. Germany took home the most medals with 36, followed by the United States with 34 and Norway with 25. Sarah Hughes took a surprising gold in figure skating over her teammate and favorite Michelle Kwan. The closing ceremony also marked the final live performance of Kiss with their original lineup.
Huh. Well, we got to something interesting.
Come on.
I didn't know that was the final performance of Kiss.
With the original lineup. I mean, come on. Sarah Hughes taking the gold over Michelle Kwan. That was a surprise. Sarah Hughes wasn't supposed to medal. She crushed it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't remember like specific Olympics sometimes, but that one.
Look, I'm a man who enjoys figure skating. I just do. I find it exciting. It's good. All right. Now
I'm a man who enjoys Dude, I'm pumped for the Summer Olympics. They shouldn't be being held. It doesn't seem safe in many ways, says the international, everyone. But hell, I guess we're going to do it. So let's do it. I'm in.
Well, I'm sure we can get everybody vaccinated, and that'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll hope. We choose to believe. Yeah. The privileged countries will all be vaccinated and we'll be fine, and everyone else will be screwed.
I'll be watching from my TV.
Yes. Well, I'm excited because I work from home now, and like I don't have any school nights, so I can watch as much as I want. Especially because most of it's going to happen in the middle of the night because it's in Japan.
I do remember that. Just to go back, stay in the time machine for a minute. I do remember my dad. We had that big rear projecting TV, and I do remember this. I believe this was the Olympics. This was the Winter Olympics, and there was one Summer Olympics where, if you recall, you could get pay-per-view a Special Olympic package, and you got extra channels,
sure.
the red channel or the gold channel, the red, white, and blue channels. That's what it was. So you could like bounce around. It was absurdly expensive, and you could watch all the different events. And now our cup runneth over with, you can watch
it's all there,
online. Yeah, it's cool.
Gonna be fun. All right. Mercifully, it is.
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to talk about the damn episode.
Okay, we are finally talking about season 6, episode 14, Man and Superman. Boy, here it is. There's a teleplay by Lucas Reiter, who last wrote on The Test, and Jonathan Shapiro, who last wrote on Pro Se, and directed by veteran Genosoir, who last directed on Honor Code, which leaves us with only one more sexy thing to do, folks.
What is that supposed to mean?
What's your problem?
Is this what happens to women when you insert your penis?
Bobby.
What?
What does Mike think's gonna happen?
You know, what if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
Keith, we've had some great episodes. Our scores have been high. We've enjoyed them. We've had some furtive discussion with our friends, with our colleagues, with our lovely viewer. This week, it seems prime if we go back to the slate, which is telling me everything I need to know, really. Let's see if we can get back there. If Mike remembers how to run the show. This has everything lined up for a Jimmy Dum Dum episode. We haven't had one in a while. And this week, I can't wait to talk about our guest star because love this guy. He's one of those guys who's in everything. This feels like an episode where a guy is playing vigilante for some reason, playing a hero vigilante, and going about the city of Boston and trying to crime fight, And
Okay.
in doing so, probably does something dumb, like hurts a bad guy, like injures a bad guy or kills a bad guy in trying to be helpful, pretending he's Superman. And so we've got to defend this guy. I don't know why he does this. That's maybe he's, I'm got to be sexy. So he is trying to impress a woman who he wants to have Superman sexy time with. Every Superman needs his Lois, Keith.
That's
and
true.
This guy injured somebody in trying to be a hero, trying to be Superman, and Jimmy has to defend him in a Dumb Jimmy episode.
Okay. Well, there, folks, you have it. It is now time. If you're just listening on your ears, just don't stop listening. But if you're on the YouTubes, hop over to your podcasting service of choice and listen to us. Listen to Man and Superman. We'll see you for the oopsies.
And we are back, baby.
Back, baby. Oh,
that
boy.
That was something.
Yeah. We just watched The Thing. And now we are going to discuss it in our after show, in which we begin with Mike telling us, hey, what just happened? Twice. First up.
2, 3, 4. Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show.
Guys, Superman is here. Segment. And he jumped out the window and pancaked a man. And it's tragic, and I'm sad about it. And it's not funny in any way, shape, or form. But his costume is, and so is the fact that they try to pin it all on his wife and say that her banging some other dude because her husband's in the hospital made him want to commit suicide. But guess in the end, guys, all that really matters is that he tried it again, proved that everything was right, and he got some money out of the deal.
Yes, indeed. Everybody turned a profit in that deal. Now, could you tell us everything again? Just in fewer syllables. In a segment we like to cough.
Cough? Superman can't fly, but Bill Muntz gave it a try. The hero is cash.
Yes. Good one. Well done. Well done. I can see you thought of that one ahead of time.
Yes, I did. I remembered the two things I do during that episode.
The hero is always cash, isn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't the hero really always cash? It's America.
We don't need another here. As a matter of fact, we do. If it's cash, we do indeed need it. But
Yeah,
the other thing that we need, Keith,
Yes, what is that?
is what everybody really comes to the show for at the end of the
Obviously.
day. And it might even feature one hell of a bumper coming up.
It might.
A little segment we call Ladies and Gentlemen, the Out of Practice podcast, in unofficial, unsolicited, unfactual association with David E. Kelly Productions, proudly present
Oopsie.
The Oopsies! Celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady. Not to mention, this is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the Oopsies?
Well, Jackie, they're an award show we do at the end of every episode. That begins with... That will never get done.
For some reason, every time I'm like, oh, I might get there. And then...
Wait, what if they both went at the same time?
Oh, I didn't get the key. That actually was pretty. I'd like you to pan them properly next time, but we joke. But the truth here is, guys, that as I mentioned, I actually loved everything Jimmy did here. He didn't have to take the case, but he and what I liked about this, usually we just like, oh, he's an old friend, and then we take the case. But in this time, not only did Jimmy have the compassion to do so, but we start the episode by him defending it to the rest of the firm, convincing them that it's a good idea. And actually, in a beat that we can talk about later, Bobby only gives him a day, but then this is clearly more than a day, so it's interesting. But and then throughout the proceedings, I think Jimmy did everything right. He made the right call in letting the guy testify. I think that helped with the judgment of the $1, and the close is one of Jimmy's best closes. It was, like I said, I thought it was beat by beat, factually accurate, and after he presented it that way, it seemed like there was almost nothing they could do but win. So I think it's pretty clear to me Jimmy Berluti is the MVL.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Jimmy is kind of the only character in this entire episode that behaved like a normal person.
Yeah.
Who sort of like logically just played the hands in front of them and didn't. I mean, he was obviously handed the best case, but he was just like, yeah, here's the deal, blah, 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 laid it out. And sometimes when you do that, you win the most valuable lawyer. So congratulations, Jimmy, for your MBL. Coming up next, everybody stretch.
Already famous cause you've been on TV, getting a paycheck, or the first entry on your IMDb. Way to go, but you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
What a very serious face on Will I Dance today.
Yeah, it's very synchronized. We could be in that synchronized swimming. It's just us in a pool with our bellies floating, going like this.
I heard there was a big manatee die-off in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they need some more. We can go replace them.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, I think this one's, what could have really jumped the shark, flown the shark, if you will, in this episode was this character, the main character of Bill Muntz. And I think in lesser hands it might have been, but I think that our guest star, whose name Keith will enlighten us with,
Kevin Dunn
was excellent. Shout out to his wife as well. She gave a great portrayal.
Deborah Muntz.
Deborah Muntz. I don't think that. That was the wife's name. Who was the actress?
That was the actress.
Deborah Muntz played Mrs. Muntz.
Uh-oh. Oh, did I do it wrong? Hold on.
You did it wrong.
Hold on.
We've been doing it wrong all episode. So it's best we rectify it.
Oh, yes. It's Wendy Gazelle. Folks, I introduced Deborah Muntz playing herself. She didn't return, but Wendy Gazelle did. She did a great job.
Yes, she played it with the gracefulness of, some would say, a gazelle. But yes. What was the guy's name again? One more time.
Kevin Dunn. Kevin Dunn.
Done great.
He done a good job.
Bill Muntz. It was. He played it straight, and not only that last scene, all the scenes where he had to kind of show a foot in different realities was really, I thought, nuanced and powerful.
Yep. Yeah, he definitely did an excellent job. He did a better job performing it than it was written for him. So, congratulations, Kevin Dunn, with your Oopsie. Coming up next.
You killed your podiatrist or blew the case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
It's Michael Bottalucco. I think it's Michael Bottalucco up and down. I think Kelly Williams was great. She was strong. I think Dylan just did Dylan. But I think Michael Bottalucco saw that in the script that Jimmy got to play a strong Jimmy, a confident Jimmy, a compassionate Jimmy, and he took the reins and really went for it. And I thought he did a great job.
Yep, 100%. Jimmy'd it up. Michael Michael'd it up. And just good Jimmy episode. I mean, there wasn't a huge roller coaster to go on. He just had to be competent and compassionate, and he did that. And sometimes it gets you an oopsie. So congratulations, Michael Badalucco, with your Best Actor Award. Now it's time for everyone's favorite.
The Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
You know, little known fact, you can catch it on the IMDb. We only talked about during the episode that you might have listened to the two nannies that were interviewed during Bobby's quest, some would say, for the perfect babysitter for little baby McDonald. And what you didn't see, what got cut from the episode, but Keith is going to show us via the magic of Photoshop, is fired babysitter Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah. He hit a rough run of babysitting during this era.
Yeah.
And, Bobby asked him about all sorts of things, and didn't go well.
Yeah. So we're going to see it.
All right. Congratulations, fired babysitter. That's the wrong one. Congratulations, fired babysitter Tom Brady, for the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. And now it's finally here. The tread is a little thin this week, but here we are with...
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce how many spare tires this episode gets.
You know, I gave some of my thoughts earlier, Keith, and I always kind of force you to
counter.
Audible because I go first. So this week, I think let's switch it up. Why don't I let you go first during spare time?
Oh, okay. Ooh, I feel so different. Yeah, I think what you said during the episode, I thought perfectly encapsulated this episode. And that is, it's not an episode, it's a pitch. And they clearly had a pitch meeting. What if we had a guy who thought he was Superman and he jumped out of a window and killed somebody? Okay, great start. Fascinating. And then everything that happened after that initial idea felt like a first draft. It felt undercooked. It felt underwritten and under-researched. I mean, I think there's a way to tell this particular story in an effective and responsible and respectful way. And this wasn't quite it. But what was maddening about it, you had the stupidity of him jumping out the window and then the fake death and this, that, the other thing. That thing was as hokey and as stupid as it looked. The stunt looked hokey. Everything looked bad. And
it made Bobby McRambo look like an action film.
It was so silly. It was stupid and unnecessary and sort of disrespectful. On the other hand, the scene that happened right after that, where he asks his wife to come home, and she says he can't. And they're both right. And it's heartbreaking and performed well. That scene was written really well. So you saw the potential of this episode in that scene. It could have been that good the whole time if they had just thought it through a little bit more and done a second pass at all of it. And mostly the internal logic of it, beyond the schizophrenia stuff, the internal logic of this three-way argument. Only one argument made sense. Mm-hmm. And the mark of a good episode of The Practice is when both arguments make sense. They both have a logic to it. Even if you don't agree with it, there's a side you agree with, a side you disagree with. You need to have a coherent argument on both sides. Otherwise, it's sort of a straw man argument. And it's not really, it's kind of lazy. And this episode felt undercooked. So good performances, great pitch. Mm-hmm. But they just didn't follow through. It felt rushed. I don't know if they got behind in production or something. It just was it just needed. If I'm David E. Kelley and I get this script, I'm like, all right, so there's some things here I really like. Now go back and fix it. Come back to me next week. That's how I respond to this episode. There's some stuff there. It just needs to be fixed. So with all of that, I'm going to give it 6.23 spare tires. It wasn't a good episode. Should have been.
Yeah. I say this a lot, and I get, I'm watching these for the first time. And so I get carried away. And often what gets me carried away is the experience of mutual watching, which, we feed off each other's energy. So that's one of the wonderful things about, it used to be about TV, is that you would get together and watch shows, and it wasn't just everything DVR'd. And sometimes the action gets me carried away. But sometimes, like today, it totally takes me out of it. Like, I was giving this episode a lot more leeway until that hokey bit. And it's exactly what you said. Already, it was paper thin. Like you said, it was a great pitch. Great intro, great pitch. And
the teaser was amazing.
It seemed like they had an idea, with a pretty good idea of how it was going to end. They had a thought for the good ending. It's just the sandwich lacked the meat in the middle,
Yeah.
And often also you'll hear me say that the great performances sort of, if I guarantee if after 2 weeks we went back and retired a lot of the episodes, I think you'd see my numbers come down pretty dramatically, because the great performances save the writers often in this show. A lot of times in television and movies and in media, it's the opposite, right? The writing is so good that it elevates the acting. In this, sometimes, today's an example, the acting elevates the writing. Like, I think this episode's actually worse than what we saw, right? In less capable hands, I think it's an even more disrespectful episode. I thought that, to give the production elements some credit, I thought the scoring once again was excellent. The scoring reeled us back many times when I think it could have gone a little ridiculous. But for me, and I'm interested to hear from Phoenix and from some people, and don't just play devil's advocate. I would legitimately want to hear a sound defense of either of the two arguments presented, right? Outside of Jimmy's. I think that the third sort of the toit of the menage a trois of arguments, it was unnecessary. It should have just been the hospital versus Jimmy, and the hospital should have come up with something better. Even the sort of pulling out of their ass, her cheating on him, like, it just seemed like it wasn't even a good plan B.
No.
And it was interesting to me that they decided that they made, and here's a point I'd like to throw to you, Keith. Like, why do you think the writers decided, well, was it just to throw us? Because they had the jury decide that the wife was negligent, but only owes $1, so only a little bit negligent. So was that just a commentary on you shouldn't cheat on your husband when he's in the hospital?
I think it was, they had to fill, because the actual storyline was so straightforward. There's not much story there. It's like I was saying with the tires, the tread's a little thin. The story's a little thin because they needed something else to argue. Because mentally ill person who thinks they can fly, no bars on the window. Credits. Right. Like there's not really much else to tell there, and unless you're going to get more into the interpersonal story.
No, but I'm saying they had the jury rule that they did find her negligent. Like, what purpose does that serve?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was one of those things. Maybe one of the writers had a hair up their butt about something about that in terms of loyalty, but I'm not sure what the show was trying to say there, and I think they were just trying to. Maybe that $1 was a very weak justification of adding that storyline, just like, we're gonna have the jury validate us at filling this nonsense in there. I
find it sad because ultimately I'm with you as far as ratings go. And it's a waste of a great Jimmy episode, because I thought it was so good for him as a character. And I guess we've made some progress in the I don't know, it's so funny. They keep making it seem like they're doing the Bobby and Lindsay are cool now beat, but then the next episode there's a new wrinkle. But you gave it a 6.8, I think you said?
2 something.
Okay, 6.2 something. Oh, 6.2 something. I'm a little higher with it. I'm a little more bullish, only because I don't want to overlook the great Jimmy stuff and Michael Badalucca. So I'm going to go 6.47. 6.47.
6.47. Okay, well, there you go. Not a good rating, nor will I give a good rating to my good friends at Xfinity.
Yikes.
Who when my internet went down, which it does pretty reliably in the afternoons, Xfinity. We're going to tell you, because I look it up on my phone, I can see the coverage map, that kind of a thing. Oh, good. I was covering up my address. You can't see anything. It says, everything looks good at your address. We couldn't find any outages or service issues. But on the map, it has a little exclamation point where they have outages and issues. And every town, including mine, surrounding on this entire map, has an outage going down, but everything's great for us, which is everything what happens when I call them Xfinity.
Almost a year here in PA, and we gotta say, I never could get it in New York, but this Verizon Fios is effing sweet.
Yeah, well, they don't. I would be on Verizon, but they're not on my street, so Xfinity has the monopoly. Okay,
well, folks.
Well,
You've
folks,
gotten through.
No, you haven't, because we still have the Easter egg reveal.
Oh shit! I always forget, but not today. I think is that Harry Truman?
Is that Harry Truman? Close. It's Friedrich Nietzsche, who, of course, was one of the people who introduced the concept of the Übermensch. He's the philosopher, the nihilist philosopher, the Übermensch, i.e., Superman. And so, of course, and then became a play entitled Man and Superman. I think it was Shaw who wrote the play. So there you go. Well before DC, the idea of the Übermensch was first popularized.
And I think it's even more Easter eggy here on a meta level, because if we might be the poster child of the Nietzsche podcast.
Well, if I wasn't a nihilist before, I certainly am now. Well, folks, you have suffered through another episode of the Out of Practice. Oh, I have to play. I was like, Mike, when are you going to play the music, Mike? What the hell?
Xfinity took us down with it.
It really did. All right, you did the practice thing. We did this. Nobody listens to the tag. But if you are, you can reach out to us by email at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com and at Facebook and Instagram at Out of Practice Podcast. While you're doing it, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other service of your choice. Join the jury. We've got a whole bunch of lovely jury members who you can join. We really appreciate it. Speaking of folks we really appreciate, we have our founding sponsors, including Jorge Novoa, Cloud Lover 69, Leanne Wrights, Jennifer Mazanova, and Kari Coon.
Did you know that you can be one of them? Get your name up on that thing and join them by leaving a rating or review, or you can go ahead and give us money by clicking on the links I put in our show notes every week. Nobody clicks them. That bank account is dwindling. Except for the few people who have forgotten to cancel their subscriptions, and it happens anyway.
All of our money is spent on QR codes nobody uses.
But at the end of the day, folks, what we really want you to do is just reach out, tell a friend, say you don't even have to like the practice. You don't have to know anything about it. The podcast is still fun to listen to. Hey, Keith.
Yeah?
I see a window. Laser sounds!
Laser sounds!